Have you ever taken a loss and felt like your whole day is ruined? What if I told you that how you handle that loss can actually make you a better trader? Today, I'm gonna share a real EURUSD trading session where I took a loss, but stayed calm and focused, and that mindset saved my the next trade. I will walk you through two trades that I took on Tuesday, which was last week. One didn't work out, but the second one played out perfectly because I stuck to my plan and controlled my emotions. If you struggle with staying disciplined after losses or managing your emotions, then this episode is going to help you how to do that in a real trading environment. I'm going to share my thought process and the live journal notes that I have taken during the live actual trading and how I avoided revenge trading so you can learn how to develop the mindset to keep growing as a trader because that's how professional thinks. All right, let's go back to the another episode then, and this is the euro dollar. Now we're looking at the daily time frame. If we just zoom out and see the bigger picture, what are we trading? Pretty much we know and we all agree that we are in this massive bullish move, breaking these kind of highs, and we don't know when that bigger pullback is gonna kick in, but we can keep trading following the daily time frame, giving us 4 hour and 1 hour to guide us. So looking at the daily time frame, what do we have? We got this break of structure, right? We pull back into this daily demand, which was this big zone that led to convincing break of structure to the highs, and we pull back pretty correctively into this demand. And now what we got? So we got a strong push up. We reacted, flipped here, and then we got this another bullish move. We did push down again to mitigate in this range, and now we swept this kind of lows and we made this push up to the push higher, right? On Tuesday, what did we have? We swept this kind of liquidity, internal range liquidity, which was perfect equal highs, and after we sweep this kind of highs, we expect some kind of reactions, and that reactions can be enough for us to capitalize on short moves as well, even though the overall trend is to the upside, because for daily to move even like this, we can get a real trade if we are going against the daily trend as well, because 4 hour and 1 hour is going to guide us for that. That's the daily. So main game plan is while this demand is holding, it's more than valid for us to capitalize on the long move, but until and unless we don't see this mitigation, and if we get that kind of well developed range on the 1 hour and the 4 hour, then playing sales from here in the anticipation of this deeper pullback into this daily demand can be played. So that's what I did. Going back on the 4 hour now. So what do we have on the 4 hour time frame? Let's see. As we were saying, if we zoom out, this is the 4 hour, this is the daily breakup structure. If we pull back into this daily demand, which is this one, after we mitigated this daily demand, what did we have? We got this impulsive move to the upside, giving us that higher highs and higher lows, showing that we were in the uptrend now, right? So as we knew that while we were in this daily demand, we swept this kind of liquidities, sell side liquidities, and then we had this massive push up. Now, after this massive push up, we reacted to the supply, and reaction has failed. Why? Because it has led to the another breakup structure if we look here. So now we are trading between these highs and these lows. So overall is to the bullish. So always ask this question. After the breakup structure, what do you expect? We expect a pullback, right? And where is that pullback is gonna come at? We don't know, but we can use our market structure and supply and demand concepts to guide us through that. So after the breakup structure, what we got? We got very sideways price action. It was not the cleanest. That means that bulls are losing steam now, right? While this 4 hour bullish order flow was still bullish, I was happy to capitalize on the longs, but it's always risky because anytime we understand that we can expect a deeper pullback. Also, we know that this range has been unmitigated, so there is more likely that price is gonna come to mitigate this range before we see another leg. But until and unless we are seeing that bullish order flow continue, it's very more than valid for us to capitalize on the buys. And once we see that shift, then we can change our bias and play that sales for a deeper pullback, probably into this range, and then we'll reassess. Simple expectation on the 4-hour was, let's see if we get a sustained order flow in the 1 hour that is bullish order flow, and then we can capitalize on the buys. Once we see that shift, then we can play sales probably up to this demand range below. But the true internal pullback will come after we see this kind of 4-hour shock, that is the change of character. Then we can assume that okay, probably we are getting a deeper pullback, but we can also use 1 hour for that. So 1 hour is my main time frame. What do we have? We have this recent breakup structure, and that was the 4-hour internal as well. If you see this one, we have this demand where price, I'm expecting that price may wants to come back, but within there we have this internal price action on the 1 hour, which is pretty much bullish. So while this low was holding, the order flow and the 1 hour structure is still bullish, so it's more than valid for me to keep buying longs by being conservative and by being aware of the negative confluence that I have, because this demand, this range has not been mitigated yet, so there is always a possibility that price may wants to gravitate toward this range before making another wave move it's to the upside. Right, okay, let's go here now. So if we go on 1 hour time frame, this was just Frankfurt open. So after we got this breakup structure, it was really it was not the clean breakout, because this is the clean move, like, but this is like we were trying to push up, but we didn't do on the first attempt, and now we broke out pretty correctively. It's not that convincing move, but nevertheless, while this was holding, it can actually make another leg higher as well. So coming into the session, I knew that I was interested in looking for buys while this internal structure was holding, and once we see this kind of fail or the weakness in the bulls, then I can capitalize on the sales. So this will be very high probability according to my trading plan. So this demand was formed through sweep of liquidity, and there was another demand that was coming after the series of mitigation. So more than valid for me to look for longs from here, because everything is bullish. Like, why to overthink, right? So main game plan was to jump into the 1 hour M15 and see if there was any entry model present during the session. So this was before session. Let's go back at 7 a.m. While this demand was still holding, I was not expecting any sells, because currently the order flow is bullish and demand is still in control. So I was expecting a very clean entry model for this demand to work. Why? Because we're not in the good area of value, because playing longs will be much high probability if we had pulled back all the way to the discount and shift and give us this fresh internal low that was protected, and now we have enough risk reward on our side to run the highs. This is much high probability long rather than catching this momentum, because anytime we can expect that deeper pullback. Anyway, let's go back on the M15. So for me, the entry model is I need to see a low that break a high and then get that liquidated for my entry model. So what I want to say is like that, and then liquidation candle, and then I'm gonna buy stop, use the buy stop here to enter into the market. So I want to see this one to go, which is M15 change of character. Let's see, we got that one, but remember, we are not still inside the session. This is just 6:15. It's not inside the session yet, but we got this liquidation candle, and I'm now waiting for it to meet. I'm now waiting for this candle to just to have a buy stop, so that it can trigger me. But since we're not inside session yet, not valid. 6:45, and as soon as we shot that candle, which was this one, now we were in the inside session. So for me, it's more than valid for me to use this trade, because this is a very conservative entry model, because the trade idea is not the best, but still it's okay because of the entry model being conservative. So what we got this low that broke a high, and then we got that liquidation candle. We got very nice engulfing candle into this extreme demand. If my trade idea is valid to play the longs, then this is the area where it should go from. Otherwise, if this fails, if I'm out, if my stop loss hits, then trade idea is valid, is gone. I'm not gonna force any long at this point because this is the only demand that that is unmitigated and left for it to make another waves to the upside. If this fails, there is a more likely chance that we are gonna get a deeper pullback into this kind of demand. So this was the trade that I took. We'll see how it goes. We got tag mean over there, and it's playing pretty good for the first hour, but eventually what happened? Eventually it stopped me out. So that was -1 negative, right? Okay, what happened after that? So we got this demand failed, so now there is a very likelihood of that we are gonna get a pullback. So I really like the concept of interaction between demand and supply. So what did we have here? We reacted into this demand, right? So bulls stepped in over there, but supply took over. That means this is the order flow bearish now. Why? Because demand was in control until here. Demand stepped in, supply took over. That means now we got a demand to supply flip. But what do we know? That we still contain within this internal. So while this is holding, we can't assume that we are gonna get a deeper pullback. So for this to go, we have to see a 1 hour break, then we can play the sales. Until then, we still can see, because market structure is king, right? And then supply and demand and liquidity concepts come later. But first, I always give more importance to the market structure. So that trade was done, right? I'm no longer interested in buys until and unless we don't see this kind of shift. Otherwise, only sells are on the cards. Now, looking at the 4 hour and reassessing the price, what do we have? We got this 4 hour chalk, right? After the 4 hour chalk, what do we have? We can assume that we are gonna get a deeper pullback, right? Also on the daily time frame, it's really clean that we swept these kind of highs, and now with this kind of bearish pressure in during the London session, this can really see that we may want to come into this daily demand, which is this top of the range, which is this range. So there is more likelihood of coming into price into the coming here, and because the momentum is strong from the bears as well, there is a more likelihood that it's gonna get a deeper pullback. Anyway, for me to consider sales, I have to see this break, and then we'll see how it goes. So this was it didn't break. Okay, now we break to the downside. What do we have? Yes, it's a sweep, but the order flow is bearish. So I'm willing to be aggressive on the sales now, because there is not much left for price. Because where it's coming from? It's coming from nothing, right? The unmitigated demand range is there, and there is now the high probability that price wants to pull back into this demand before making its way up to the upside, right? Because how we are coming, see how we are coming in, like impulsive nature of the price action followed by corrective and then impulse. Also now, what do we have? The other confluence that we got a demand to supply flip. Also, this is not only a flip, this is a POY that was formed through sweep of liquidity, which is really high probability confluence to have in the portfolio. What do we know on the daily? We swept this kind of highs, and bearish pressure is expected. On the 4 hour, what do we have? We got this break of structure, we got this 4 hour change of character. So now there is a more likelihood that we are gonna get a deeper pullback. Also, another main negative confluence, positive confluence, is that we are not coming from any good area of value, and since this top of the range was still fresh, there is always the high probability that there will be a chance that it's gonna mitigate at least the top of the range before making its way to the upside. But from the 4 hour, we know that this range is also completely fresh. See how it reacted and then flipped. That means this is also fresh. There is a likelihood that it's gonna get a deeper pullback up to here at least. And yeah, we have enough risk to reward on our side. Now this, like, we're playing from the session order flow. That's another good confluence as well, rather than playing from the old Asian session, right? Now what do we have? So forgetting about the past trade, because after I took a loss, I was not forcing another long trades, because I have to be objective with the market, right? I have to follow my framework. If this session, London session, is showing me that bulls are losing the steam and bears are in control, I have to consider that and be objective with the market. I should not implement, or I should not add that kind of the last trade into this upcoming trade, because each trade is unique. I have to treat it independently. Due to that, I was more inclined to sales now, because order flow is bearish and everything is pointing to the downside to me, right? Now I'm a little bit more aggressive now, and this trade is gonna be much higher probability than the last one, because now I'm playing within the session order flow, and this trade is a very high probability according to my trade plan yet. So what do we have? We have this kind of if you look at M15, which is this one, we had a perfect leg inducement just below our just below this POI. That means I want to see this kind of high to go, and I'm gonna place my liquidation candle over trade over there. So now what I want to see is to this high to go for me to consider a trade, which we had now, right? So now all system go, that's the trade that I want to take. Giving too much, giving buffer, let's say 2 pips. I think I gave 2 pips. That's 88, that's 8.8, and having 1-2. Take profit, that's including commission, 2.03 will be enough. But what do we know? This is, it can happen, right? Like, this is the another area where buyers can be interesting. So the best target will be at this low, but since I use fixed risk to reward, I don't want to have that crazy target. Just 2.03 and get in and get out. All system go, and now I was just ready to see how the next candle prints. I got tagged in immediately into the market. So at this point I was kind of getting afraid of, I'll just say like fear, because since this M15 was not mitigated, this about, and I was hoping that price may want to come back into this one, because we were just in the edge, and there is always a chance that we are gonna see at least a pullback into this EQ of this POI, because we're also coming from after this sweep of sell side liquidity. So the pullback, so the reaction can be a little bit more than actual this one. But this is how I trade, right? This is how I back tested it. So why to overthink? That was just a fear talking to protect me from the loss. And also, if I show you guys the text that I was writing, I think this was not the one. Where is it? No. Okay. Nope. Yeah. Anyway, I don't have that live journal, but normally I use I just write like this. So what we say, let's say if I'm like facing some kind of fear, I'm just gonna say like, okay, what happened? So I'm just gonna write during session what happened. So for example, this is, what time is it? This time is 10:45. So I'll just write 10:45. Okay, what I'm actually fearing, I'm having that fear. Price wants to pull back and mitigate that for our mitigate that M15 supply, right? And also now I'm acknowledging and I'm being aware that this is just a fear talking, and I just write it like that. This is just a fear talking, because being objective with my strategy, this is how I trade. So that's the main psychology awareness that I had during that time, and regardless of that, I executed perfectly into the market. There was no any misuse of the actual trade plan. So that's a big tips that I'm giving you guys, because this has helped me review my trade and see how is my psychology, how is my mindset before approaching a trade. So that's gonna really help you. So next candle I got tagged in, and that was a very beautiful trade that went up to this 4-hour demand, which is expected. Very clean trade. It mitigated this kind of 1-hour demand, if you just see this one. So this was a very clean trade, right? Lots of psychology tips, I think, because I took a loss from there, right? And after it showed me that price wants to pull back into this kind of demand range, I was hoping that if I can just capitalize on this quick move, then that will be enough for me to capitalize that intraday move that I was talking about on the daily time frame as well, because we swept this kind of highs. We are expecting the reactions Also on the 4 hour, we're expecting that deeper pullback to kick in. This range was completely unmitigated, so there was a likelihood that price wants to pull back. Also, this 4 hour, these candles, if you see this one, the bulls are losing steam, and because of that, sales were on the cards. And with that, London session gave us fresh POI that was formed through sweep, saying that there is going to be the sustained bearish order flow, because that's the session volume, that's the recent order flow from the market. Really good trade. I took the sale one, and another trade I took here long was also a very good trade according to my trading plan, but this was the high probability than this one because of the session order flow and everything that I discussed earlier. So that was my day trading Euro USD. Two trades, one loss and one win, but the real win was staying disciplined and focused after the loss. It's not about being perfect on every trade, but about having the mindset and emotional control to trust your process. Remember, loss are part of the game. What matters is how we are responding to that, right? So just stay objective and stick to your plan and keep improving. No need to force things just because you had a loss from here, right? Psychology is the edge that separates successful traders from those who burn out. So, and main tips I'm giving you guys is like, just record this kind of thought process during the session before actually taking a live trade. That's gonna help you massively when reviewing the trades. You're gonna find a lot of weaknesses and strength into your plan, and you can actually see this and you can compare. Let's say, because normally I do backtesting of the last week price action on the weekend, and if I being, because normally when we backtest, we are pretty much objective and follow our trade plan, right? And now if I'm being objective on my backtesting on the last week price action, and if I compare this actual with the live performance, then there will be a significant gap. So that's the whole purpose of this channel as well. It's to find the gap between the execution and the actual performance from the strategy, so that we can minimize the gap and improve over time. Okay, so yeah, if you found this helpful, hit the like button and subscribe for more real trade recaps and mindset tips like that. Drop a comment below, how do you handle losses? Let's learn and grow together. And if you want me to share more of my during session journal like this, then let me know. I'm happy to share. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great weekend.